Hey Taurus, it's Empress Rose here. Welcome to your reading. These are general readings, so we take what works, we leave what doesn't, as with everything in life. And if I don't catch your wavelength on this one, go check your other major placements. Major placements are Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. We're going to start off with an intuitive vibe from the Botanical Inspirations deck, and then we'll move into a more traditional tarot spread. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. If you have already, don't hit it again. Only subscribe once. So, all right, let's see where we're going with these Victorian ideas from these Victorian cards. Violet, faithfulness and modesty. Modesty is just shining light that prepares the mind to receive knowledge and the heart for truth. That's true. That's true. Madame Guizot. And violets are one of my favorite flowers. They are edible, and when you smell them, they give off a chemical that makes you not able to smell them anymore. This is just really funny because I could just do the violets all day long, but that after the first couple sniffs, the chemicals that the violet produces prevent you from being able to continue smelling it, which I think is really funny. But we're talking about faithfulness, modesty, so being able to be open to receive new information, being open to receive knowledge, being open to, I want to say, like changing our mind or being open to something new, not feeling like we know everything already, but beginner mind is what I want to say the violet reminds me of. The modesty of beginner mind, of like, I may not know. I maybe think I know, but it's entirely possible I may not know, which is funny because personally I'm dealing with something like that, or really working with that energy personally as well. So it's funny that that came out in your reading, Taurus. All right, Taurus. Oh my gosh. Here's your past, your present, your inner landscape. What's at issue? Your environment, your to-do list, and your possible outcome. All right. That's a to-do list I get. I understand that. Okay, in your recent past, you have 9 of coins. This is really owning it, really having earned a lot, having grown a lot, having developed a lot, really coming into your power to a place of prosperity for yourself. 9 of coins is our little female entrepreneur. She owns the place. She has been very successful in the world, very independent energy, very work-focused, I want to say, very successful. So this has been either someone you know from your past, although it looks more like an energy that you've walked into. It's my Widow Clicquot card, my female entrepreneur card. She owns the place. This is all hers. And look, she's got this hawk right here. This hawk is going to do whatever she wants it to do. Is very much in charge and in control of her life and her farm, not just her whole life, but it's very much it's coin. So it's a work focus. It's a work, money, physicality focus, something physical. Her physical world, she's very much in charge of her physical world. Successful there. You've experienced some kind of success. Some kind of success in some sort of endeavor that you've tried in the world, which is exciting. That's really cool. And then where you're at right now is the 7 of Wands. This is defensive energy. You're in a defensive mode. And I don't mean defensive as like, why do you get so defensive? Oh, wow, maybe I do, because we've got this modesty card here talking about this modesty energy and being open to receiving new information and new ideas, being open to stuff. But right now you're defending something. So you're defending your ideas, you're defending your life. Maybe you made some big, bold moves to get here, and now you're needing to defend that. You've got some naysayers. Of course, once we're at the top, naysayers come in and want to tear us down. So you've got some naysayers here, and you're having to defend yourself, defend your ideas. If you are in a defensive energy, this is where this modesty is coming in, is understanding that you may not know everything, and you might need to learn. But in your current situation, we either have you being defensive or we have you defending what you've earned, defending what you've already done, defending all the work, defending your accomplishments from people that are either trying to usurp them, because sometimes we have friends or family that come in and maybe didn't support us in our endeavors, but now they want to reap the rewards with us. This reminded me of the what is it? I'm just remembering the children's book version that my kids had. Well, it's all a children's story. I think it's an Aesop's fable, but it's like, who will help me? Who will help me? In this book, it was making a cake or something. It was a chicken making a cake. And she was like, who will help me do this? Who will help me, plant these seeds? Who will help me harvest the grain? Who will help me grind the grain? Who will help me, mix the ingredients? Who will help me do this? And all the other animals in the house are like, nope, not me, not me. I can't remember what the original is, but the book we had for my kids is the one that's sticking in my mind right now. And so everyone's like, not me, I'm not going to help. I'm not going to help. And then here they are all, they're like, yes, but I would like some cake. Now that you've spent 2 years making this cake because you grew it all from scratch, I would indeed like some cake. And you're like, fuck off. No, you don't. No, you don't. You didn't help me build this. Why are you coming in for the rewards here? So that's what this reminds me of, is you've put a lot of work into something. You did the work. And now some people may be coming in trying to co-reap your rewards on work they did not co-do. So that could be what's going on here. You may just be needing to defend your ideas and defend yourself somehow, but you're in some sort of defensive mode. In your inner landscape, you're feeling a little overwhelmed. You could be being overwhelmed by it's 7 of Cups. So it's like these demands on you, you feel very overwhelmed, and you might be being very confused by them. Because we do want to love the people in our lives, right? We do want to care for them. But if they didn't help out, there's also something to be said for this. We're saying, back off. You didn't want to help, then you don't get the rewards either. There is something about that. So it may be very overwhelming because we're seeing the 7 of Wands and then the 7 of Cups, which is a card of overwhelm, maybe some confusion on what to focus on. Do you continue focusing on this work, on the work that you've done? Do you shift your focus to these relationships and people pleasing? And it almost feels like you might want to be people-pleasing with all these 7 of Wands and all these people here that want something from you. And you're like, okay, you want this for me, you want that for me, you want this for me. And you might be feeling overwhelmed by these demands on your time, and maybe even on your very personhood and on who you are as a person, people wanting you to be different things for them in different places. And, in this situation, someone's demanding that you be like this. And in this situation, someone else wants you to be this. And so it could be very overwhelming. But just with 7 of Wands leading to the 7 of Cups, I feel like it's almost like correlating to quite a bit of all these demands being placed on you, and you're feeling overwhelmed. You might be feeling confused on what to focus on. So do you give, money to this person, or do you give money to this person, or you've earned something, you've developed something, your path, you've really rocked it on your path, and now a bunch of people want to come in and you're having to defend yourself against, I think, a bunch of, what I'm seeing here is just a bunch of demands of other people in your life telling you who they want you to be, what they need from you, and you might be overwhelmed by all of these demands and sort of in a defensive mode of like, I don't think I can do this for all of you people. So you might be worried about this feeling of overwhelming. This is your inner landscape, so you're just feeling overwhelmed right now. And what do you focus on? What do you prioritize? Do you prioritize other people? Do you prioritize your work? Do you prioritize your money? Do you prioritize mystery man? Do you prioritize this snake or this imaginary dragon or praise? And so it just is looking like all these demands are being made, and they might be kind of confusing things. Like here you had to be super focused. Oh yeah, this is exactly where we're going here. Here you were focused on what you wanted, you got it, and now there's like a bunch of confusion because people are making demands on you and you don't know who to please. Well, yes, you do know exactly who to please. You do, but this is confusing you for now. You're in a defensive mode. And then what's at issue here is the 6 of Coins. The Six of Coins, we take it in the reverse, although it was in the upright here, but that was probably, I don't know. So the Six of Coins is about generosity. It's about needing to get that, some sort of generosity flowing, but there might be a lack of generosity. There might have been a lack of generosity from other people to you, and now all these people want to come and say, hey, you need to be generous. You need to be generous. And you're like, where was your generosity when we were making this cake? You stupid cat, you lazy dog. Where was your generosity? Because it's a chicken in this story that I'm remembering. It's a chicken. So, and then there's a dog and a cat, and they've like taken over some sort of abandoned house. So anyway, so there may not have been generosity coming for you, but now everybody else wants you to be generous because you've been successful in this, and everybody else thinks you owe them this and you owe them that. That's what I'm seeing in the Six of Coins card, is you like this sense of like, hey, you owe me. Or there could be just some imbalance. Well, there's imbalance in this relationship, in this situation where you've been successful. Now everybody wants shit from you, even though they didn't help with getting you where you got. Now they want a bunch of stuff, and you're feeling overwhelmed because you want to be a generous person. You want to be a good, kind, generous person. And that's important to many of us. But then when people come in with demands for it, that's especially people that could have helped us get here, but never did. That's a different issue. That's a user issue. So you could be feeling used. You could be feeling like this relationships are unbalanced. There's some sort of imbalance here. And it has to do with maybe a sense of generosity. And I feel like there might be some demands on your generosity here. So in your environment, you have this Ace of Wands. This is the wands, of course, are very intuitive, a little bit mystical, about inspiration. Here we have this book. The Ace of Wands is starting on a new project or a new thing, or getting some new inspiration. So in your environment, someone's got a new idea, or there's something going on here that's bringing some new energy in, some new inspiration, some new intuitive hits here. This is divinely guided, a new beginning going on around you. And then in your to-do list, this is I love this for this whole thing. Your to-do list is Queen of Swords. So you've got a lot of demands being made of you right now. They don't seem very generous. They seem punitive, I want to say. It's very overwhelming. And then here's your to-do list, which is exactly what you know you need to do. Getting clear on who you are. This is the Queen of Swords. Getting clear on what's true for you. What do you understand? What resonates for you? Where getting very clear. It's a transformative clarity. It's going to transform the situation. So you're getting clear on what you believe, what you think, who you are. And the Queen of Swords has a reputation for being a little bit of a bitch. Like, she's just going to say it. But the thing is, she's just really focused. She's really focused on what she sees, on the truth of the situation as she sees it. And she's really honed in on that, right? Very precise about that. So she can be very precise about her language and not really caring about, like, she doesn't pussyfoot around, right? She's not going to sit here and, like me, she's not going to, unlike me, she is going to think, she thinks about just what's the truest thing to be said. What's the truest thing to think? What's the clearest communication? She's not thinking about what's the gentlest communication? How can I please everybody and make sure, there is something to be said for that, because if you speak too harshly, people can't hear what you're saying, right? Because it just hurts. All they feel is like the hurt from the harshness. So you want to be precise, but you don't need to spend a huge amount of time phrasing it so that it's perfectly palatable for everyone. You want to be polite enough so that people can hear it without having to do a whole bunch of internal work on the pain you just caused them, and having that actually blunt, that can actually blunt your sword, blunt your sword of truth that you're coming into. It can be blunted by if you cause too much pain with that. If you're not precise enough and overly, it almost takes away from the power of your sword if you're over, right? Because the sword needs to be sharp, not blunt. So if you're overly blunt, are overly cruel, you know, if you're doing surgery with a butter knife instead of a scalpel, it's going to be more painful. So you want to be very precise about what you're trying to say. You know, if you're not, and not so blunt that you end up hurting people and creating a big giant painful mess for everybody, where the truth of what you meant to say gets buried and lost in the massive blood loss that your butter knife surgery produced, right? So you want to be precise, and that means, like, if you love someone, you also make sure that that's in with what you think and with what you're thinking, that love comes in there also, right? Because if that's true, if you do love these people that are in your life, and if you don't, why are they in your life? But if you do, then that needs to be part of the sharpness of what you're saying too, because that's also true, right? So we're not just focused on negative truth, we're also focused on positive truth and helpful truth. But she's very focused. What does she think? And what does she need to communicate here? She's very clear. She's very focused. It will transform the situation, because here you got a lot of demands. It just looks like the confusion that comes from people pleasing is what I'm saying. And imbalanced relationships where people want more from you than they're willing to give, something like that. You're starting to get a new idea here, but you need to come in here with this honesty. And honesty isn't always horrible. It can also be a loving statement. It can also be a beautiful truth that does transform people and help with the situation. So your job is to get very clear on what you think, what you believe. This almost sounds like last week's too, because there was something about you staying, what was it? It was about imposter syndrome, something like that. Anyway, maybe it's not like that. And so then where you're going is this Four of Cups. So how I've been reading this Four of Cups in this deck is like ending some sort of cycle, right? This is the offering being made, offering being made, offering being made. And finally, again, you're like, you know what? Your wine is shit. I'm not going to drink it anymore. I'm breaking this cycle. I don't want it. So Four of Cups is about an offer being made and an offer being refused. So it could be that you come in with this beautiful offering of your loving yet precise truth, and then it's not well received. That could easily be the case, that it's not well received. They just don't want that. It could also be that when you come in with your truth, you break some sort of cycle, that you stop receiving some bullshit offer that never ends up, like, especially if we're dealing with this imbalanced situation. Someone may be like, hey, if you do this, I'll finally approve of you. If you do this, I'll like you. If you do this, you know, everything will be at peace. And you're like, it never is. It never is. You say, I want you to do this, and then I do that, and then you're like, okay, that's also not good enough. So it could be breaking that kind of cycle of like, okay, me pleasing you all the time is never pleasing to you. So might as well stop and get right with myself and get right in my truth, because that's what it looks like. Me pleasing you all the time is never pleasing to you. And so either the person making this offer is like, well, this person receiving the offer is like, well, it's never good enough. This is never good enough. Or it could be you over here saying like, you know, they're tantalizing you here with like, if you do what I ask you to do, you're going to get a great reward. And you're like, all these rewards have been garbage so far. Why would I continue to engage with this? So there is some sort of, yeah, either you make a really great offering of your truth and it's not well received, or it could be possible that once you get really clear on what you want, none of these cups that are being foisted on you sound good anymore, and you're just not going to do it anymore. So there's some sort of offer being made and offer being refused, and you can be on any part of that, especially with a general reading like this. We're gonna let you do any part of that, right? So something may just not be acceptable to you anymore, especially once you get in your truth. You may not find this situation acceptable at all, because we seem to be talking about people pleasing, and people pleasing never works, because the people you're trying to please typically aren't ever really happy, because that's an inside job, not an external thing. That's nothing you can actually do for them, is make them happy. So it could be, you know, realizing that if they're not happy, that's kind of on them at this point, because you've been trying, it looks like. So anyway, your job is to get into your truth. And then we're looking at this Kuan Yin for a little bit extra, thing at the end. Oh, I love this. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. And here we are. We're not clinging. We're not grasping. We're just gently holding something. We do have a winter time here, so not a big lush environment, maybe a paused situation. And it says, your mind may convince you that manifesting your destiny is more difficult or complex than it needs to be. This is totally what this reminds me of, more difficult and complex than it needs to be. All you need to be doing is focusing on you, what you think, what you feel, what you want. You don't need to be people pleasing. It doesn't have to be this complicated, because this looks like complicated and confusing, right? The guidance of the Divine Mothers to keep things simple. Do what you can do. Yes, be very focused. Just do what you do, right? And let go of everything else. If they don't like it, oh well, they can just sit out here with the animals and be grumpy then, right? Because happiness has got to be an inside job, both for people around you and for yourself. And you understand that, you get clear on that. And if they don't want to get clear on that, that's their problem. Not much you can do about that. All right, Taurus, I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope you have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for your likes, subscribes, and comments.